The room was filled with laughter. Not joy, mockery. A billionaire leaned back in his chair, smiling as if the world belonged to him. People watched. Some laughed. Others looked away. In front of him stood a woman, quiet, still, unmoving. She didn't argue. She didn't explain. She didn't defend herself. The laughter grew louder. Then, silence. Because if he knew who she really was, he wouldn't be smiling. Everyone watched him mock her. The room didn't quiet down after the laughter. It grew heavier. The billionaire leaned forward, his voice calm, but sharp enough to cut. "Do you even understand what's being discussed here?" he asked, smiling. Not curious, not polite, amused. A few people laughed. Others stayed silent, pretending not to hear. The woman stood there, holding her hands together, posture straight, not nervous, not shrinking, just still. He looked her up and down, slow and deliberate. "This isn't really your space," he added. "You should leave the thinking to people who belong in rooms like this." More laughter, softer this time, uncomfortable. Someone glanced at her, waiting for a reaction, an apology, an excuse, anger. She gave them none. She didn't raise her voice, didn't step back, didn't look away. Her eyes met his, steady, calm, unreadable. That confused him. He expected embarrassment. He expected fear. Instead, he saw control. "Did you hear me?" he said, irritation creeping in. "I asked if you even understand." She inhaled slowly. Not to speak, just to breathe. And still, she said nothing. The silence stretched, long enough for the laughter to fade, long enough for people to shift in their seats, because the question wasn't why he was mocking her anymore. It was why. She wasn't reacting at all. The woman no one ever notices. She wasn't always standing in rooms like that. Most days her life moved quietly, almost unnoticed. Early mornings, long hours, a job that demanded patience, not recognition. She worked while others talked past her, listened while others dismissed her, moved through crowds without leaving a mark. Bills waited at home. Deadlines didn't care, and the word security always felt just out of reach. But she never complained. Not out loud. Not to anyone. Because she had learned something early on. Being loud didn't always mean being strong. At work, people spoke over her. Decisions were made without her. Her presence was tolerated, not valued. Yet she noticed everything. How people reacted when power entered a room. Who spoke first, who followed, who pretended not to see. She watched patterns, listened to tone, not just words, measured moments instead of emotions. Discipline had shaped her. Control had protected her. So when she stood there earlier, silent, still absorbing the insult, it wasn't weakness, it was habit. A habit built from surviving quietly and choosing carefully when to speak. Something about her doesn't add up. The conversation moved on as if she no longer existed. Numbers were mentioned, plans were discussed, assumptions were made, confidently. Then she spoke, not loudly, not emotionally, just one sentence. "Actually," she said calmly, "that figure doesn't include the secondary cost adjustment." The room froze. Heads turned, not toward her, but toward him. The billionaire frowned. "What?" he asked, clearly irritated. She didn't rush, didn't apologize. "The adjustment," she continued, her voice steady, "was applied last quarter. Ignoring it would misrepresent the outcome. No hesitation, no uncertainty, just precision." Silence stretched again, thicker this time. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Don't speak unless you're spoken to," he snapped. "This conversation isn't for you." She nodded once, a small gesture, and said nothing more. But it was already too late. Because people had noticed. The way she spoke, the way she didn't backtrack, the way she didn't look intimidated. That wasn't the voice of someone guessing. That was the voice of someone who knew. The billionaire felt it too, a brief, unwelcome thought crossing his mind. Why does she sound like she belongs here? She clearly wasn't uneducated. She wasn't confused. She wasn't bluffing. So why? Was she standing where no one expected her to be? Well, he crosses the line. The billionaire laughed softly, not amused, dismissive. Well, he said, glancing at her uniform, I suppose everyone has opinions now. A few people shifted in their seats. He stood up, voice louder, confidence returning. Let's be clear, he continued. This isn't a classroom, and you're not exactly in a position to lecture anyone here. His eyes dropped, just for a second, to her shoes, worn, plain, then back to her face. People from certain backgrounds, he added, should learn when to stay quiet. The room stiffened. No laughter this time. Someone coughed. Someone looked away. This wasn't business anymore. This was personal. She took a breath, slow, controlled. For a moment, it looked like she might walk away. She turned slightly. One step. The billionaire smirked, thinking he'd won, but she stopped. Right there. She turned back, not angrily, not defiantly, just composed. She met his eyes again. No fear, no apology, only clarity. The crowd leaned in without realizing it. Everyone waited. Was this the moment she would finally fight back, raise her voice, expose him? She didn't. Instead, she said quietly, respect doesn't come from where you stand. It comes from how you speak to people who can't defend themselves. Silence hit the room like weight. No applause, no gasps, just realization. And for the first time that night, the billionaire had nothing to say. She chooses dignity over revenge. The room still hummed with tension. People whispered under their breath. Some glanced nervously at each other. He expected her to snap, to yell, to cry, to apologize. But she didn't. Her posture was calm, deliberate, shoulders back, spine straight, eyes steady. She looked at him, not with fear, not with anger, but with quiet clarity. Then, in a voice soft enough to make people lean in, yet firm enough to carry authority, she said, "Power isn't proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right." The words hung in the air like invisible thunder. The billionaire froze. A smirk he had practiced vanished. His pride, carefully built over decades, felt the first crack. Crowd reaction. Some gasped, some nodded slowly, some realized they had been complicit in the humiliation. She didn't need drama. She didn't need to raise her voice. She didn't need to beg or justify. Her dignity spoke louder than any insult could. And that single quiet sentence flipped the room. For the first time that night, she wasn't invisible anymore. The truth comes out. The whispers hadn't died down. The crowd was still adjusting, still processing her quiet but powerful words. Then a voice from the corner spoke up, a colleague, someone who had been quietly observing. "She's not what you think," he said, a mixture of admiration and disbelief in his tone. Heads turned. Everyone looked at her. She graduated top of her class at Milan Business School. She managed a boutique investment firm before life happened. People who underestimate her are making a huge mistake. The billionaire's eyes narrowed. He stepped closer, trying to assert control. She's fluent in 3 languages, including Italian dialects most of us have never even heard. She's trained in negotiation and leadership, more capable than many sitting here in tailored suits. Gasps echoed. Some of the crowd shifted uneasily. His smirk faltered. For the first time tonight, he was unsure, uncomfortable. Human. She didn't need to say a word. Her reputation, her history, her quiet confidence, all of it spoke for her. She wasn't rich, not yet. But in influence, in skill, in presence, she was untouchable. The room had shifted. All eyes were on her now. And the billionaire realized he had misjudged her completely. The room turns against him. The room had fallen silent. The laughter that had once followed his every word stopped mid-chuckle. People's whispers began, low at first, then growing, filled with curiosity and unease. The billionaire's confident posture wavered. His eyes flicked around the room, seeking support from his usual allies. But no one met his gaze. Some shifted in their chairs. Some exchanged glances he didn't understand. He took a step forward, trying to regain control, a smirk forming, but it didn't reach his eyes. The quiet woman stood there, calm, her posture unchanged, her eyes steady. She didn't smile, she didn't gloat. She let the moment speak for her. Every word she had said, every subtle correction, every poised gesture, it had reshaped the room. Suddenly, the power wasn't his anymore. The whispers turned into speculation. Who is she? Where did she come from? How could we have ignored her? He realized in that moment that authority wasn't given. It was earned, and she had it now, effortlessly. The crowd was no longer laughing with him. They were quietly watching her. And the billionaire understood. His influence had just slipped, and he had no idea how to reclaim it. He realizes his mistake. The billionaire sat alone in the corner of the private lounge, the opulent chandeliers casting fractured light across the polished marble floor. For the first time that evening, there was no laughter, no applause, just the weight of silence pressing down on him. He ran a hand over his face, fingers trembling slightly. Every joke, every insult, every smirk he had thrown at her now replayed in his mind. Not as humorous, but as evidence of his own arrogance. Regret settled like a stone in his chest. He realized painfully that his assumptions had blinded him. The quiet woman wasn't powerless. She was poised, disciplined, and more capable than anyone in the room had guessed. And now, the entire crowd had seen it. He tried to justify himself internally. I was only testing her. I didn't mean to embarrass her. She provoked me. But each thought felt hollow. Every excuse fell apart under the undeniable truth. He had underestimated her. His heart pounded as he watched her from across the room. Calm, composed, unshaken. She hadn't raised her voice, hadn't flaunted her knowledge, yet her presence had shifted the balance of power completely. A wave of fear and awe hit him simultaneously. This was no longer a game he could control. The quiet woman had claimed respect, not by aggression, but by simply being herself. For the first time, he realized, his mistake wasn't just in underestimating her. It was in thinking the world revolved around him. And now, for the first time, he felt small. Respect is lost in seconds. The scene shifts to the grand lobby of the luxury hotel, where whispers ripple through the crowd like an invisible current. The billionaire, once untouchable, feels the shift instantly. Conversations halt mid-sentence as eyes flicker toward him, and then, inevitably, toward her. The quiet woman who had just dismantled his authority without raising her voice. Social media notifications ping relentlessly. Photographs and clips from the incident have already begun circulating online. Colleagues and business associates exchange subtle glances, reassessing loyalties. A few key partners, once eager to align themselves with his prestige, now keep their distance, uncertain if his judgment can be trusted. The billionaire's ego braces itself against the avalanche of silent judgment, but it's futile. Every smirk, Every dismissive gesture from earlier hours now backfires, echoing louder than any apology could. The quiet woman's composed demeanor stands in stark contrast, calm, dignified, almost untouchable in her poise. He watches her, feeling the sting of his miscalculation. Respect, once assumed, is no longer granted. It must be earned. And in the span of mere minutes he realizes how much power he has truly lost, not just publicly, but in the perception of everyone who had once admired him. Even his closest allies now approach him cautiously, measured, unsure if he will retaliate or crumble under scrutiny. Every interaction is tinged with hesitation. The room itself seems to acknowledge the shift. The hierarchy has changed, and she, silent yet resolute, has claimed a victory no one else could have predicted. Too late to control the story. After the public fallout, the billionaire retreats from the lobby, leaving murmurs and judgment in his wake. He finds a quiet corner away from prying eyes and approaches the quiet woman, still composed, still unshaken. Every step toward her is calculated, cautious, yet tinged with urgency. He begins with a carefully measured apology. Words that might have seemed sincere hours ago now feel desperate. I misjudged you, he admits, voice low, almost pleading. You were right, and I acted foolishly. Let me make this right. He offers an opportunity, a temporary project, a special role, or a professional advantage designed to restore his image as the generous, in-control billionaire. His offer is more about salvaging his reputation than acknowledging her dignity. She listens silently, standing tall, arms relaxed at her sides, gaze fixed, not on him, but on the calm center she maintains in the storm. Every twitch of emotion, every flicker of doubt he expects to see, is absent. She weighs his words carefully, but the audience can sense her internal calculations. Trust versus caution, opportunity versus principle. In the background, the world continues to watch. Servers, employees, and a few lingering guests are aware of this private confrontation. Even though it's private, the tension is palpable. Will she accept? Will she play along for convenience? Or will she assert her independence? Not anger, not revenge. The quiet woman takes a slow, deliberate breath. The billionaire waits, eyes locked on her, searching for any sign of acceptance or weakness. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't rush. Every movement is measured, confident, and purposeful. She calmly declines the offer, not out of spite, but because she values her own integrity and independence more than wealth or status. Thank you, she says softly, but this is not the path I want to take. Her voice carries quiet authority, resonating with anyone listening. As she walks away, the room seems to pause. Time stretches in the tension between what could have been and what she chose instead. The billionaire's face shifts from hope to disbelief, realizing that no apology or opportunity can buy respect or character. Her decision sends ripples through the audience, employees, and lingering guests. Whispers start. Who is she? Why is she so composed? Even those who mocked her before feel a twinge of awe. Who she really was. The quiet woman walks away from the crowd, each step measured, calm, and self-assured. The billionaire stands frozen, realizing that his wealth, status, and power could never define her worth or influence. Behind her, murmurs ripple through the room. Guests, employees, and bystanders are captivated by the poise and dignity she carries effortlessly. She exits into the evening light, her daily life awaiting, simple yet meaningful. Along the way, glimpses of her past flash subtly. Moments of discipline, hard work, and silent victories that shaped her into the strong, composed individual she is today. Viewers see that her true power comes not from revenge or wealth, but from self-respect, intelligence, and inner strength. No one shouts, no one needs to. Her quiet confidence speaks louder than any insult or humiliation could. The billionaire watches her leave, humbled and reflective, finally understanding the difference between status and character. If you enjoyed this story and want more hidden truths and unexpected twists, make sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment below telling us what shocked you the most, and subscribe to Hidden Fate Stories so you never miss the next unbelievable story. Your support means the world, and the best is yet to come.